How to pass the Toefl test. Welcome there. My name is Maria Gurjeva. I'm the founder of Studyamerica, and we help international students from all over the world enter US universities. In this video, I would like to talk to you about the Toefl exam and the tactics and tricks that will help you pass this exam on a perfect score. Let's go. The Toefl test is a test of English as a foreign language, and if you're an international student and you want to apply to a US college or university, you will need to provide the Toefl test results. The Toefl test might also be useful for those who seek employment in the United States. Sometimes it is used to check your knowledge of English outside of applying to college. But for most people, the Toefl test is an important factor to enter a US college or university on a bachelor's, master's, MBA programs and other programs. So for the Toefl test, you would need to show your abilities in reading, listening, speaking and writing. So the Toefl test consists of 4 parts. And an important thing to know about the Toefl test, that it's not necessarily the exam of your English abilities, but more, I would say, a test of your knowledge of the test. So in order to prepare and pass the Toefl test on a perfect score, you really need to study the test structure and what they're looking for, what they expect you to do. And of course, they use a lot of tricks to try to lure you to the wrong answers. And you need to know those tricks and to not follow their wrong lead. The Toefl test maximum score is 120 points, but in order to enter the most prestigious US universities like Harvard or Stanford, you only need to have 100 points out of 120. And if you, let's say, already have 100 points for the Toefl test, there is no need to try to pass it better and get 105, 110, because the Toefl test is not considered like who enters the best score, then this person is better. This is more of a pass-fail exam. So if you pass it on 100, you can relax, you don't have to do it again, because you just proved that your English is enough to study in the most prestigious university. So the Toefl test consists of 4 sections, and for each section you can get maximum of 30 points. Let's start with the reading. The reading section would be texts. The texts are pretty big, and then you will have around 11 or 12 questions to each text. An important thing to know about the reading section is that you do not need to read the entire text before you go to the questions. It's much more important to read just the topic sentences of each paragraph, because the topic sentences of each paragraph give you the main idea of the paragraph. So if you just read the first sentences of each paragraph, you already get a great idea of what this text was about. Also, I suggest that you read the last sentence of the first paragraph, because this is where normally they have a thesis statement. So the last sentence of the introduction is also a very important sentence to read. After you read this 10 sentences, you can go to the questions and start answering them. And this saves you a lot of time, and it also saves you a lot of focus, because you don't become overwhelmed by all these words, by this entire huge text, and the texts are normally scientific, so they're pretty hard to read. So you don't get overwhelmed or tired by reading this whole thing, and you stay focused and you know all the main ideas, all the main arguments, so it would be very easy for you to navigate the text when you answer the questions. The questions in the reading section would be in an order of the text. So the first question would be somewhat related to the first paragraph of the text or to the beginning of the text, and then all the following questions would just be following the lead of the text. Would be just following the order of the text. So when you answer a question, watch out for the tricks that the test makers use to lure you into the wrong answer. Because imagine a test maker. They create a question and then they think, okay, so this is a question, this is a correct answer. And we need to come up with 3 wrong answers. But 3 wrong answers need to look so nice that a person would rather choose a wrong answer or the right answer.
I've devised a cunning test.
So how do we make the right answer look not attractive at all? And then how do we make 3 wrong answers attractive? And in order to make the wrong answers attractive, they use specific tricks. For example, they would use the exact words of the text. So there's a line in the text and the very same line is in the answer. So if you see that there's the exact same words in the question and in one of the options, and then the exact same words in the text, that means this is the wrong answer. So don't buy this trick, and be smarter, because the right answer, there is no way they're going to just copy some text from the text, some phrase from the text, just place it and make it the right answer. That's too easy, right? So they will always try to camouflage the right answer so that you don't know what like you'll have to actually read it and kind of like get the idea, compare it to what you read in the text. So they will use all the different words, they will use all the synonyms. So definitely do not choose the answer that repeats the words from the text. Another nice trick that they use is they make a pretty nice answer. It looks good, but they use words like always, never, or only. And those words, they're too strong. They actually make the answer choice wrong, because, well, the text said that there are, I don't know, 3 ways of doing something. And the answer option says, yeah, there are only 3 ways of doing something. And so the fact that they added the word only in the answer choice just made the whole answer choice wrong, because the text didn't say there's only 3 options. They just talked about only 3 options, but they didn't specifically mention that there's nothing else except what they already what they're describing. So watch out for the strong words, because they are an indicator that this answer choice is wrong. Then, of course, there are different tricks of what question types they use and how to conquer each question type. And the more you dive into the reading passage, the reading section, the more you study, you will know more of the question types, and you will be able to answer those question types more easily. You would learn how to treat all the question types. But for the most important part, just remember today that you don't have to read the entire text, you don't have to read the entire thing, you just need to read the first sentences of each paragraph and the last sentence of the introduction, and then don't follow their tricks to trick you into the wrong answer. If you want to dive more into every section of the TOEFL test, we created a very nice course on how to pass the TOEFL test. The link is below in the description, and in this course we'll go through the entire test. We'll talk about all the tricks that the test makers use, and this course was taken by people from all over the world. This course was taken by more than 30,000 people, and it helped all of them pass the TOEFL test in a great score, so definitely check it out. The next section is the listening section, and what is extremely important in the listening section is that you take notes. So the TOEFL test actually is designed to check your ability to study in a US university. And one of the most important skills for a student at a university is taking notes. So you will be visiting some lectures, you will listen to the lecture, and you will take notes. So this is a skill that they want to check in the TOEFL test. So the most important thing about the listening section is to take as many notes as you can. So you listen and you try to write down everything. And then after the listening is over, you listen to the lecture, then you go to your notes. You will have 6 questions after the lecture is over, and you cannot listen to it again. You'll have 6 questions, and most likely you can look at your notes and actually find the answer. So this is the key. Also, of course, they use different tricks. For example, if you hear that a professor made a joke, or if there are 2 students discussing something and they made a joke, or if they used some kind of a phrase, maybe a metaphor or something, like something interesting happened. They used some phrase that sounds a little bit off, or they used humor. Definitely pay a lot of attention of the context, like when was this phrase used, like when was this joke made, why is it funny? And there will be definitely a question about this phrase, about this metaphor, or about this joke, so pay attention. Also, sometimes the questions would ask you something, and then they will provide you some pretty weird answers, like why did the professor said this and that, and then the answer choice is because the professor is stupid. So this is definitely a wrong answer, because the test makers will never make the lecturers look bad. So some answers, some funny answers would be the professor is stupid, the professor doesn't care about students, the professor doesn't he is annoyed by the students' stupid replies, something like that. So something that you can feel that the answer choice is talking badly about the professor, this is definitely the wrong answer, never choose that. More tricks and learn how to conquer the listening section and all other sections, definitely check out our course. The next section is speaking, and in the speaking you will be talking to a computer, you will have a microphone, and you will be given different tasks, and you will need to answer the specific questions. And the hard part about the speaking section is that it is very short in time. So for the first question you will only have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak. And this is pretty short and stressful, very little time, so it's stressful for students. And sometimes people have hard time and a lot of stress preparing for this exam, for this section. But actually, speaking section is not that hard, because the key to conquering the speaking section in the TOEFL test is to memorize everything, all the samples at home. So you will need to study each question type and actually study and learn by heart the template of how to respond to each question. And again, in our course we teach the templates, and basically after you learn the template, this section becomes very easy, because you only say from your say everything that you learned by heart at home, and you only fill the blanks with the specific things that they ask you in the question, and that's about it. So we also in the course we study how to manage talking, speaking and answering the response by a specific second. So we'll learn how many seconds you need to prepare, you need to use for your introduction statement, how many seconds you need for your first argument, how many seconds you need for your second argument, how many seconds you need for the conclusion, and on which second to start your conclusion. We learn about what to do if you're just frozen and you don't know what to say and you forgot all the words. This happens. And basically, when you study the entire template by heart, this section becomes super easy. And you also learn how to say that template within a very short time frame. And one of the key factors of success is to know what is 45 seconds, to learn what is 60 seconds, and actually prepare, repeat, and do it all over again in practice, so that you can easily fill your response into that specific time frame. So it might look intimidating, but actually if you learn the template by heart, it's not intimidating at all, and it becomes one of the easiest sections, the speaking section. So in the speaking section you will either just speak, so the first question you just ask the question and you just reply and say your opinion about the question. Then there are also other question types. For example, you need to read a text, then listen to somebody discussing this text, and then talk about what was in the text, what was in the listening. In another question type, you will be just listening to a lecture, and then you will need to talk about what the lecture was about, kind of like retell us the story from the lecture. And again, here they not only check your abilities to speak, but also your abilities to read and listen and take notes, because you would need to take notes, and then actually the notes would be the only thing that you see when you speak. So the note taking again is a very important skill for the TOEFL test. The next section and the last section is a writing section. And in the writing section, you will need to write 2 essays. The first essay would be an integrated task. So you will read a text, then you will listen to a lecture, and then you need to write a text, what the reading was about, what the listening was about. So you kind of tell it, summarize it, and tell it all over again. You can use the text during your essay, but the lecture would be there only one time, so you will listen for it for only one time. Then the second essay in the writing section is just a question about your opinion, and you need to create a text with an introduction, with 2 or 3 arguments, and with a conclusion. Pretty basic text about what you think on a specific topic. Here it's important to remember that they are not checking how smart you are and how great your arguments are and how can you develop a point. That's actually not the question. They are looking to check if you can write a text, if you can write an essay. So don't worry if you think that your arguments are stupid, if your position is stupid and you don't know like how to develop the essay so that it blows their mind. Your task is not to blow their mind. Your task is only to pick the easiest point of view to prove and then use any 2 arguments to prove that point of view. And even if it's all nonsense, it doesn't matter because they're only checking if you can actually create a text, create an essay. And if you have an introduction, a conclusion, and 2 arguments. And it doesn't matter which arguments you choose, even if they're super stupid, don't worry about it. So here in this second part of the writing section, always pick one of the points of view. If you're given 2 points of view, pick one. If you're not given points of view, also pick one and only talk about this point of view. If you need to compare 2 points of view, that's a little different story, but most oftenly you would just need to pick one point of view from 2 and never try to not follow the question. So if you're given 2 points of view, and you're given a task to choose one, choose one. Don't come up with the 3rd point of view. Don't come up with the middle position. Don't try to talk about everything. Just follow their question. That's very important. And that gives you the maximum score. So this was an overview of the Toefl test, and as you know, the Toefl test is required to enter the US university. And if you're interested in entering a US university, and especially if you're interested in getting financial aid or scholarships, then definitely check out my free webinar where I talk about how to apply to a US university and get financial aid, and how to guarantee yourself the admissions to a US university. So definitely check out my free masterclass. And if you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channels. There are a lot of very useful videos about how to apply to American universities. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.